Hello. I am Gently ASMR, and today I will be leading you on a guided meditation through a fairy forest. So, before we can begin, we're going to need to make sure that you release all of the stress that you currently have built up. So, join me together as we go through a couple exercises to release the stress and prepare you for sweet dreams. So, what I would like you to do first is please, to the best of your ability, starting from the bottom of your toes and working up through your body, begin to clench every muscle that you can. From your feet to your calves and your thighs and your glutes to your torso and chest and arms and hands and base, and just really intensify that tension before letting it all go, starting from the top, releasing your face, then your neck, down to your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your chest, your stomach, your thighs, your calves, and your feet, until all of your body is completely unclenched. And just let the relaxation and the lack of engagement in your muscles begin to permeate deeper and deeper, and your mind begins to take the journey towards subconsciousness. So, please, for a moment, breathe deeply with me. In and out. And in and out. And in and out. And in and out. And now, just try to maintain a slightly deeper and lower breathing pattern. Now, I would like you to picture yourself in a perfectly black room. This room is expansive and featureless and not necessarily dark, but even though there is light, the floor in front of you is black. And the expansive walls and ceiling surrounding you all appear to be black, except that a good distance in front of you appears to be a light, a rectangular opening that you suspect is your way forward. And so you decide to walk towards this source of light, as it is the only clear way that you can proceed. As you walk, you start to notice that the light coming from this opening is not only white, but softly inflected with various colors of the rainbow. Peeking through the milky white light, sort of like an opal. And this becomes more clear to you as you become closer and closer to this opening. You see now that the opening is resting against the ground, and it seems as though there are steps leading downwards to the source of this opalescent light. This intrigues you yet further, and so you continue your approach, steadily stepping right over left, seeing the opening into the ground become closer and closer, and the light become a little more detailed and vivid. You can see the steps now. They seem to be made of a gleaming white marble. And the space around this downwards entering staircase is a mysterious haze of this opalescent light that has been calling you forward. You are quite close now, only a few more steps away. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you place your foot onto the first step of the gleaming staircase. The mist envelops the bottom of the stairway, so you do not have absolute certainty of where this path ends. But you are comforted and allured by the opalescent shimmering light dancing at your feet, and so you decide to proceed. And so you step down, one foot over the other, one foot over the other, one foot over the other, descending into this luminous, multicolored space. And as you look up, you notice that the black room seems to have gone away entirely. And it is only you on the staircase, surrounded by this mysterious light. You know you have no option now but to proceed forward. But you are comforted with this option, as it feels as though there's a welcoming presence waiting to greet you wherever this staircase may lead. And so you continue downwards. Continue. And as you step down, the mist becomes thicker until you can only see one or two steps before or behind you. And as the mist gets thicker, the color of the air around you begins to change, first fading into a bright bluish teal, and eventually resembling an emerald green. The mist begins to lighten once again, and you see around you large, thick, rubbery leaves of trees that you have never seen before in your life. The dark green leaves on these trees create various otherworldly forms, the most prominent of which surrounds you everywhere you look, is a large leafy spiral, almost like an organic chandelier that decorates all of the boughs of the trees as you look around yourself. You are now able to see the ground, a green leafy forest floor with small shrubs and a little patch of purple flowers scattered across the radius around the bottom of the staircase. And so you proceed down, your fingers gently brushing past one of the soft leaves of the trees. And you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more steps until you reach the ground. You look around you now. Birds sing softly in the upper canopy of this dense and lush forest that you found yourself in. There is a variety of plant life with qualities that you have never seen in any plants on earth. Some of the flowers are luminous. Some of the trees create structures like mobiles that twist and turn in the wind. And you notice, if you look very, very closely, that behind some of the leaves and petals, little flashes of light seem to be dashing and ducking out of your view whenever you turn your gaze their way. You continue forward, determined to find one of these glowing figures that is not so afraid and might give you some idea of where you have landed. There is a clearing going forward from the place that you departed the stairs. And so you take this trail and venture further into the forest. As you look around you, you notice some fascinating wildlife, similar to what you are used to. just a little altered. Little bunny rabbits nibble from fruits in the trees as they fly with their little dove wings from branch to branch. Frogs, each time they hop and land on a lily pad, change to a new colorful pattern each time that they land. Butterflies with shifting and changing wing patterns flap about your ear. No one of them looking the same for any 2 seconds. You take notice of one of the luminous, glowing figures that you noticed earlier and proceed towards it. Unlike the others, it is not trying to get away, which you take as an encouraging sign. You call out and introduce yourself to this luminous shape, which seems to be no larger than your fist. And you ask where you have landed and who it is that you may have the pleasure of speaking to. To your surprise, the little figure responds in plain English. Why, I am a pixie. I am one of the many caretakers of this land. The little glowing figure says to you. You seem to be lost. Do you think that I could help you find your way? Offers the little pixie. You gladly accept, as you would appreciate the expertise of someone who truly knows how to navigate this unusual and strange land that you have found yourself. The pixie says, well, there's one place we have to go in order to get you anywhere that you need to be. We must bring you to our royal family, who can then use their magic to bring you home. You are a bit flustered at the proposition of meeting royalty, but the little pixie insists that it is quite standard for the royal family to meet all adventurers and wanderers into their realm. So you ask the little pixie, how is it that we get to the royal family? Well, we will need to go to the city, says the little pixie. So we ought to start traveling. The little ball of light starts speeding off along the path you were once following. And you follow. The pixie slows down to a reasonable pace, noting the limitations of your human legs. And she guides you through the forest. As you walk, she explains some things about her world and about her culture that you may need to know, since you are visiting the city and intending to have an audience with the Fae royalty. The pixie leads you to a bush growing several flowers that look like little jugs. These jugs are filled with a honey-colored liquid, and the pixie plucks off one of these flowers and gives it to you and instructs you to drink. You do, and the nectar within the flower is perfectly sweet and refreshing, and immediately makes you feel energized and invigorated. You sip up the rest of the nectar from this flower, and you and the pixie continue on towards the city. You ask, are we going to walk the whole way there? And the pixie replies, oh no. That would be much too far. No, we just need to walk to the cloud station. And just in the distance, I think you can see it. And off deep in the clearing, you can see puffy white clouds gently lifting up and rising into the sky. And you consider that that must be the location that the pixie is talking about. So you continue forward, taking in the last of the verdant forest around you, taking a note of the truly unique and otherworldly flora and fauna that you're not certain that you'll ever have the opportunity to see again. As you walk, you brush your hands against close enough to see the details of the cloud station now. It is a little wooden deck constructed by the edge of a cliff. And this little deck serves creatures of various sizes as they walk up and board a cloud, which then lifts into the sky to take them to their destination. You are now next in line at the cloud station, and the pixie says to the little gnomish attendant, "I have a visitor from an unknown realm, and so we are going to need a cloud to the capital city." The attendant says, "Right away." And soon a cloud blossoms up right before your eyes. The attendant says, "Safe travels." And the pixie instructs you to step up and onto the cloud, which feels like soft cotton. And you sit as the cloud contours itself to your own shape, and the cloud begins to lift up and out over the canyon that the cliff looks over. Through the canyon passes a shimmering purplish river where you can see mermaids splashing and playing in the currents. You float up and up even more until the land below you just looks like a patchwork of greens and blues and purples. Distantly, you can see a gleaming city with buildings that have spires that stretch high into the heavens, seemingly made of the same glowing material of the staircase that guided you here. You ask if that is the city, and the pixie responds in the affirmative. And your cloud glides. And although the ride feels gentle, you pass rapidly over streams and hills and valleys and candy-colored trees and with little settlements, little villages consisting of wooden huts and clay shacks, interspersed with a few more developed structures as well. The cloud carries you quickly, and soon you are nearing the perimeter of the capital city. Around it is a shining barrier, a protecting outer wall that the pixie explains is to guard from any beasts from the forest. But the cloud is much higher than this wall and passes easily over it until it is received at one of these high-spired buildings on a similar deck from the one you departed previously. The pixie thanks the cloud station attendant and guides you forward. You both embark on an elevator which begins descending on its own through magical means when both of you step aboard. You reach the ground floor, and before you is a bustling fairy city with creatures of all shapes and sizes. An elven woman haggles for fish with a man with cat-like features. On another stall, a blacksmith whose body is made of rock pounds away at a glowing piece of metal. Crowds of humanoid beings with pointed ears, some much taller than you and some much shorter, are gathered in this market square. Also around you are other pixies, much like your guide, but differentiated by the different colors that emanate from their auras. The pixie leads you forward, and she doesn't need to let you know where you are headed, because it is blatantly clear that the palace in the center of the town, the tallest and most elegant structure that you can see, is clearly your intended destination. And so you walk with your pixie companion through streets streets of shimmering glass-like pavement and luminous white marble-like building facades. Each of the buildings are carved into with magnificent and intricate details, either depicts a mythological story from their culture or a piece of the family history of whoever owns that particular building. So you continue forward, taking in the scenery of the fairy capital city. And it is not long until you reach the palace steps. It is not long at all until you arrive at the steps of the fairy palace. Taking a look down the steps up towards the large and magnificent castle door are much like the ones that you descended to reach this land. And so, guided by your pixie companion, you begin your ascent to the palace entrance. The steps begin quite wide, and as you continue up, each step becomes continuously more narrow, creating a dramatic sloping shape up to the portal of the palace. And so you continue up, up, and up, and up, and up, and up, until you arrive at the immense, intricately carved door before you. Two royal guards greet you at this entrance, and the one on the left, an elven man with long blonde hair, asks, "What is your business at the castle?" The pixie explains that you are an outsider who was unexpectedly transported to this land and needs help in order to get home. The guards nod, and the door before you opens into a truly opulent great hall. Surrounding you are intricate paintings depicting the fairy royal family, and the furniture is carved with such grace and delicateness that each piece looks like it would have taken an artisan's entire life to perfect. as you take in the incredible elegance and opulence of the room around you, the fairy proceeds forward to yet another elevator chamber and instructs you to stand there. You do, and the platform beneath you begins to rise up, up, giving you a bird's eye view as you view the incredible structure of the royal palace around you, and the big windows that show the city surrounding create an incredible view all around you. The elevator finally reaches the top floor, where you see a gleaming throne room. At the middle of this expansive and gorgeously crafted room are two long golden thrones. Sitting on the left is the fairy king, with his long white beard, wearing shimmering iridescent robes that match his gleaming wings. And to the right, the fairy queen, whose long auburn hair flows down all the way to her hips, and her gown flows down the steps leading to the thrones. The queen says, "Greetings, outsider. What is it that we may do for you today?" The pixie speaks up and says, "This outsider has come here without meaning to, and is seeking their way home." The queen nods and stands up from her throne, revealing her own long, pink, shining wings that spread behind her. She walks up to you and places her hand on your head and says, "Thank you, dear outsider, for visiting us with respect and grace. I offer this token of our goodwill to you," she says, as she slips a small cloth sachet into your hands. The king stands from his golden throne and goes to stand beside you as well. He looks at his wife and nods, and both of them place one of their hands on each of your shoulders. The king wishes you farewell, and they begin an incantation. A glow begins to rise, and you feel the warmth beginning from your feet as it travels up to your calves, thighs, stomach, chest, neck, and head, and you are entirely enveloped in the glow. As the glow recedes, you find yourself resting in your own bed, safe at home, and you drift into the land of sleep. And so, my dear friends, I sincerely hope that you